Hey guys, it's YodaJoe93. I hope you're having a great day. So I just got done watching the Ahsoka show last night, and I did just watch it again just to be sure. So I wanted to give you guys my first thoughts. I'll be doing two separate videos. This video will be the breakdown for episode 1, and then the next video will be the breakdown for episode 2. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and I hope you guys are ready for a great video. So, first of all, before I give in the full breakdown of what goes on in these episodes, I want to give you my full thoughts on these two episodes in general. I love this show. I think Ahsoka is going to be something special for Star Wars fans. It's something that we've been missing for so long. Unlike the Obi-Wan show, they're willing to take risks but do the right kind of risk. They're willing to not mess with the canon. They're willing to make new stories and it be creative and it be good. And that makes me happy. As a Star Wars fan, I'm happy that this succeeded. I think this is fantastic. I think they did a great job here. And I can't wait to hear what you guys think in this review. So, turn on the back. We start the first episode titled Master and Apprentice, Part 1 of Ahsoka, with the opening crawl in red letters. We finally got an opening crawl on a Star Wars show, guys. This is an amazing day, and it's absolutely wonderful. I loved it. I loved getting this opening crawl. I thought they did a brilliant job here. We open it up, and it talks about Thrawn, and it talks about how they're looking for Thrawn, and we're looking for this map to where Thrawn is in the New Beyond. So, this opening crawl talks about that former Jedi Knight Ahsoka Tano is looking for a map so that she can deal with Thrawn. She's hearing whispers and rumors of Thrawn's return as heir to the Empire, which is brilliant, and they did an absolutely brilliant job with this episode. So Dave Filoni directed this episode, and he did an amazing job. We start this episode, and we get this New Republic crew, and the captain's kind of cynical, like, oh, they're just Imperial, what's your code? And it's like, oh, well, it's an old code, but it checks out. So it reminded me of Return of the Jedi when Han Solo tries to take the shuttle using old Imperial codes into the Death Star. So this was amazing. Nice little callback. Love that Dave pays attention to the references. And so they land, and, this guy scoffs because he's being told they're Jedi, and, he doesn't believe there's any other Jedi out there at this time. Very many of them, at least. So, the Jedi come aboard. This reminded me of, basically, Phantom Menace, which I just rewatched recently, again, for like my 6th or 7th time in a while, because my fiance and I are doing all the Star Wars movies, and we're ranking them, and we're reviewing them, so make sure you stay tuned for that coverage, because we're going to be watching a lot more Star Wars later tonight, guys, and I hope you guys are looking forward to that. So yeah, back to the review. So, they come in like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and they're on the ship, and the captain's kind of like, oh, you guys aren't Jedi, you're Imperial trash, like, just, he's talking bad to them, and Balon, played by Ray Stevenson, rest in peace, Ray. And there was a nice little tribute at the end of the episode, which we'll talk about later. And so then we get this amazingness happening, and when we are moving forward, we see he's trying to be patient with them. He's trying to keep us calm. This is and he's like, hey, look, and he still doesn't believe they're Jedi. And then Shin ignites her lightsaber and goes crazy on the crew, and Balon is taking care of the captain. And Balon is like, we're gonna talk about him in a minute, but so in this scene we get a Vader callback where he basically goes and he's the music in the show by Kevin Kiner is so good. He switches like the joints in the guy's hand, and like right before he kills him, after he's like, oh, calm down, man, calm down, he jabs him with his orange saber and says, we are no Jedi. And it was amazing. Dude, I know it's the Ahsoka show, but I'm Team Balon all the way. Balon is amazing in this show. I'm loving this new villain. He feels like the perfect blend of... He's like the perfect blend of Count Dooku with the juggernautness of Vader, which is great. So then we move forward, and we get an incredible homage to the Rogue One hallway fight scene, where Vader tears apart the New Republic, they're blasting him they're blasting him with their blasters. He's blocking, high blocking with his saber, and then he just starts blasting. They get hit with their own blast, and it was a beautifully display of amazing Star Wars violence that we have not seen in a very long time. And Balon is absolutely badass in this scene, and I love it. And then Shin goes to control him, and she's lighting fools off, and she's amazing. And so this was an action-packed heavy scene. And so then we get Morgan Elsbeth off the prison. He unloads the thing. He gets him. They have a conversation. Balon is, basically saying, "Oh, this is money well spent for you." And then they get off the ship. And then the next thing we see is Ahsoka on the planet of Argania, which is a Night Sister temple. And she's looking for something. So you got this Fifth Element vibe of looking through different materials and different things. And so it's really cool that they were able to pull this off. So we're having this happen. Argyle is happening, and then all of a sudden, she gets what she came for, which looks like some sort of Zepho orb, and there's all sorts of different runes. Reminds me very much of this part of the episode. Reminded me of Jedi Fallen Order. You had a lot of the different statues and Survivor as well, which I'll be playing in a little bit tonight. So you see this is happening, and it's brilliant. You get the Zepho, you get all these things happening, and it's beautifully well done, and it delivers. It really does. It's one of those things that absolutely delivers, and you love it. And so then we're introduced to Hera, and Ahsoka are talking. So actually before that, let's get back. So Ahsoka fights. So Ahsoka then comes up from the temple she was in, and is surrounded by these protector droids, and there's like 5 of them, and Ahsoka proves once again why she's Anakin's apprentice and how she has learned much you have from your former master, Yoda says. So then we get to see Ahsoka tear through these guys very easily, destroys all of them, and then there's a self-destruct system on them, so she runs. She calls in David Tennant, who is playing the droid from Clone Wars. I don't remember his name really, but it's the droid from Clone Wars who helped the Jedi younglings construct their lightsabers, and there's great banter between the two of them after she gets to the ship safely, and she's kind of looking for someone to watch her back in this major conflict. And he's like, "Oh, that's the job of a Jedi Padawan." So they're kind of leading into what will eventually happen with Sabine and Ahsoka, as they were former master and apprentice, which is why this episode is called Sorry, guys. Give me a second for a water break. And that's why this episode was called Master and Apprentice, which was brilliant. So we move forward. We learn. So we move forward here, and then we get this scene where, so we got Hera and Ahsoka, and they're trying to figure out, and Ahsoka doesn't know how to open. So first, Ahsoka gets a distress call from Hera, and so then we get to see Hera, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, aka Ewan McGregor's wife, appears for the first time, and she goes and basically shows them the hologram of Balon and Shin, and they're like, "We have no idea who these are. Could you get some data and scan who they are?" Because the temple guard recognizes sabers and everything, so she orders him to go get it. And then Hera and Sabine talk. Not Hera and Sabine. Hera and Ahsoka talk about going and getting Sabine. And if you guys don't know, if you guys are watching this show and you've never seen Star Wars Rebels, you will enjoy this much more if you are a Star Wars Rebels fan. So watch Star Wars Rebels or watch a recap before watching this show. It will make things make sense and be explained so much better, and it's beautiful. So then we get to see Hera, and she's talking to Ahsoka, and she's like, you know who can open this, right? And then she's like, yeah, but she won't help. It's like, well, for Ezra she will. So we get this great emotional payoff of them talking about now not only they're trying to stop Thrawn from coming back, but also this is a chance to see if Ezra's alive and if we can save him. And so this is beautiful and beautifully well done. So then they talk about the orb, and then Ahsoka goes and gets ready to talk to Sabine, but not quite yet. So then we get this scene where we have this ceremony. Well, wait, actually, before the ceremony, we find out Marok, Balon, Shin, and Morgan Elsbeth are now back on the Night Sister homeworld. And we learn that the lifelong theory that I have had for several months now, Morgan Elsbeth is a survivor of the Night Sisters. And so she has Night Sister magic and is a Night Sister. And so this was great to get this confirmation. Diane Lee, a.k.a. the granddaughter of Bruce Lee, does a brilliant job in this role now. She's so much more than we realized. And I love what we're getting here. I think this is so brilliant and great storytelling, very in-depth Star Wars storytelling. And I love that we got this level of storytelling in the Star Wars show. So this was amazing. And so then we have our three dark side wielders led by Morgan Elsbeth. So you have Marok, the Inquisitor, and then Balon and Shin, the former Dark Jedi, the now Dark Jedi, with their orange sabers. It's great that their sabers are orange because they're not Sith, and they're not as ruthless as Sith. As you see in the scene earlier in the episode, Balon gave them the chance to do the right thing, but then he just killed them because they stood in his way, which really is great and really makes for an interesting character, and I'm really digging that character so much. So then we see all of them, and basically Balon and the Inquisitor, as well as Shin and Morgan Elsbeth, are talking. And Elsbeth says, "Send your apprentice to Lothal to get the map," basically. And so it sets up, and so then Balon tells... I love the writing. Dave Filoni's writing for the Master and Apprentice, for Balon and Shin, and this is great. "Yes, Master, I will." And so she goes. And so she goes to Lothal and first talks to Balon, and Balon says, "You're going for Ahsoka's former Padawan, Sabine Wren." And so then we kick off from this scene after she walks away to her ship. We kick off this scene and we go to we go to another scene where now we're seeing this great mural in honor of the rebels, and we get to see I forget what his name is, but Clancy Brown, who voiced Darth Maul's brother Savage Opress in Clone Wars, is now playing the new leader of the rebels, and he is the governor, and the governor is here to commemorate all the heroes of the rebels and what they did during Rebels as a series. And so this is kind of that big moment. So then you get to see, but they were calling for Sabine to come help them and meet one of the rebels, but Sabine's going AWOL and she's jamming out to some heavy rock music on her speeder bike. We have a Top Gun sequence where two of the new Republic officials try to stop her. They can't stop her. She gets away. She goes back, tries to figure out her own stuff, comes back to her little bunker on Lothal. And Lothal looks beautiful. We haven't seen it since Rebels. This is the first one we've seen it in live action. And it's such a beautiful planet. It looks so beautiful. And she pets her Loth cat. And you get to see her listen to Ezra's old message. And she gets emotional because this is the day when Ezra was lost. And so that's why she doesn't go to the ceremony. And that kind of becomes a thing. And then Ahsoka seeks out Sabine's help with the map. And so at first, the governor hears from Ahsoka, is like, "You're going to want to hear this." And so they go together. And then Ahsoka and her have a nice talk. And she mentions to her, how Anakin never completed my Jedi training. I walked away from him and the Jedi, just like I walked away from you. And so we get this great speech. Rosario Dawson's killing it. It's absolutely brilliant, and they did a great job. And so we move forward, and then we get to see Sabine asks if she can take the map, and then Ahsoka has to talk with the droid, who has the lightsaber construction, and the droid reveals that is going over the schematics of the lightsabers. And we find out that one of the lightsabers, while they don't recognize the Padawan's lightsaber, he recognizes Balon's lightsaber. We learned his name is Balon Skull, who had this lightsaber design. And so now we know they're Jedi and what they're capable of, and so this is where the plot thickens and makes it really interesting. And everyone's looking for this map, which is brilliant. And so then we move forward, and we get Sabine Sabine gets on her speeder bike and she's taken the orb. And she wants to discover the map herself. So she goes and takes the map, tries to learn from it, decipher everything. She's able to figure it out through the map with all her artsy and amazing talents that this is the map and what it leads to. But by the time she figures out what it leads to, and also I should mention in this scene, there's great Easter eggs, like Ezra's original helmet he wore in Season 4 is seen here as a Scout Trooper. There's a regular Scout Trooper armor, because this was where Ezra, Zeb, and Kanan and Sabine used to bunk, so it's cool to see all the little Easter egg moments here. And so Sabine's got longer hair at this moment, and so then she goes outside after she's analyzed it, and she gets attacked by a couple droids. We get some Sabine knows Krav Maga skills, where you see her beating the crap out of dudes in these droids in hand-to-hand combat, and they are HK assassin droids. And so then you see her attacking them, and she throws a round kick and a hook kick and takes out the as a karate and Krav Maga person. I know these things. And so then she goes and takes them out, and she shoots the blaster, showing that she's truly a warrior at this stage, defeats them, goes into her stuff, and grabs her lightsaber, or Ezra's lightsaber, but she's made some modifications to it. And so then she goes and follows, she sees that the robots have taken it, and so she steps outside with the lightsaber after she defeats the remainder of the droids up on there. There's one droid left, and the droid has taken the orb from her. And so then she's like, you can't take that, and as like, that's not yours. We need that, basically. And then she says, that's too bad. And then she ignites her saber, and then we see the green blade emerge, and we're about to get a showdown between Shin, the new apprentice, who her lightsaber is like Balon's lightsaber is like a claymore. It's a big, heavy sword, and Shin's is like a rapier, which is a famous Renaissance sword, and in the form of a lightsaber. So here we get our first true lightsaber fight in Star Wars since the Obi-Wan show. And the choreography here that Dave Filoni has hired so many people to work on is brilliant. So Natasha Diavolt does a great job with the training of lightsabers here, while she is playing someone who has not wielded a lightsaber in a long time. So you'd see she's not an expert. She's fighting Shin. Shin is clearly an amazingly skilled Padawan. She has the Force. This is an unmatched fight. They're fighting. Sabers are clashing. Left, right, twirling, the movements, saber spins. Just all these amazing choreography things we've not seen, which are things we needed to see in the Obi-Wan show. And so this is brilliantly done. And so this is where we get to the cliffhanger of the episode. Then, through this fight, we know that actually Sabine realizes that she's unmatched. She tries to get through the defenses. After a quick motion of beautifully choreographed twirls, Sabine is stabbed by Shin. Shin gets the map, and they get away on the ship. Ahsoka arrives just in time to save Sabine. Now, a lot of people have problems with this scene because they thought that lightsabers don't kill people, but a lightsaber is a tool. It doesn't have to kill someone. You have to understand that they're not going to kill their main characters of their story right away, especially not in the first episode. That would be a waste of casting. And lightsabers are not like swords. You don't bleed. So if you're stabbed, they have the technology to cauterize the wounds. So anyway, guys, my score for this episode is easily a 9 out of 10. This was a very good episode. Dave Filoni's episode was great. It had some great moments. It had some great action, and it's great storytelling. Dave Filoni, good job, man. You did it amazing. I can't wait to see the rest of the show. Stay tuned for my breakdown for episode 2. I'll be posting shortly after this one. Make sure you hit the like, share, and subscribe, and may the Force be with you. And let me know your thoughts on episode 1, guys. I'm going to give episode 1 9 out of 10. I think it's fantastic. I totally Ahsoka'd my pants. It was a great ranking. I love it. Make sure you guys check out part 2, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. May the Force be with you.